I need some advice. My mill is nagging my partner about my life choices and I'm not sure if I should say something. For some context, I'm not married, but mill works for us. I have autism, ADHD, agoraphobia, emetophobia, and a lot of trauma from my own toxic mother. Because of my mental health struggles, I recently quit my job. It was a call center job. It was extremely difficult for me and I got to a point where I figured that throwing myself down the stairs was a nice way to get some time off, so at that point, I chose to quit. However, in 2012, I started a games design degree and wasn't able to finish it due to being kicked out, for a couple of reasons which don't have any relevance to this post. But not finishing my degree is relevant. So I've chosen to go back into higher education, get a degree, and I'm currently searching for a part-time job. I'm 25 and my partner is 26. We live with his dad. His mother is in the same town but basically makes no effort with my partner/her son. A few days ago my partner tells me he's getting annoyed as his mother had just started randomly texting him out of nowhere about what I'm doing with my life. Am I doing the course? Is it night classes? Am I still at my old job? What am I doing for money? Do I know that she worked, studied, and raised a child at the same time? Why am I not doing both work and study? Etc. etc. She hadn't spoken to him in weeks, she'd not even asked how he was doing. So he's frustrated at this point but defends me and basically says, I'm doing the course, I'm looking for work and no matter what happens he will support me through it all. Today is her birthday, so he's popped around to give her gift and I didn't go. He comes back and says that she's asking 1,000,001 questions again about what I'm doing and that he's glad the visit is over with because even trying to shut it down again, didn't work. She just keeps asking questions. Now my situation is tricky. I live with my partner as I had to run away from my mother's and I wasn't able to live with my dad. So we've been living together since a month into our relationship. So whilst I know our relationship is extremely strong, I'm consistently worried about being asked to leave. It won't happen, and if anything like that did happen, I wouldn't be left homeless, they would let me work something out first. I have a passion for irrational fear. However, because of this irrational fear, I'm scared to rock the boat with his mother. She doesn't have any say over if I stay or go, and frankly, I think my partner's dad would find it respectable if I did stick up for myself against her, but I'm unsure what to do in this situation. Do I say something and rock the boat? Do I leave it and let my partner deal with the constant questions? Just as a disclaimer, I am completely safe, I'm not at risk of being kicked out or made homeless. I have a lot of anxiety about confrontation and throughout my whole life, rocking the boat or stirring the pot resulted in my mother telling me to get out. So it's just a trauma response. My partner would not leave me for saying anything to his mother. Comment. Op. Perhaps your DH needs to stop trying to explain it to his mother and rephrase it as mom. It really is none of your business what GF does. I am a grown adult and the dynamics of our relationship are not your business. She won't stop until he tells her enough and starts terminating the conversation or walking away from her. Any bit of explanation is empowering her with information to continue the questions. If for some reason she should ask you what are you doing etc., ask her why does she need to know. Should she go to give you her opinion, tell her to stop and focus on her own life as yours is none of her business. Do not get involved. It's your partner's job to deal with this as it's his mother and he's the one she's been having the conversations with. He's the one who needs to establish a firm boundary with her and shut this down. You confronting her will only escalate the situation and won't solve the problem. If you plan on staying with your partner long term, this will probably just be the first of many times that do you have to deal with mill issues, and how your partner handles it now will be a good window into your future together. Leave it and let your partner deal with her. Do not get involved, it's between them. It sounds like his mother is trying to make you look bad so she looks better than you. She probably thinks she can convince your partner that you are not good enough for him and he still needs his mommy to protect him. She wants her son's attention and is playing dirty to get it. The barrage of unwelcome questions is having the opposite effect. Her son resents having to play her stupid game. He's getting fed up with her, not you. Do not take this personally, she'd find fault with anyone, because she wants to find fault. Do not interact with her unless you absolutely have to. Don't say a word to her about her meddling. But if she ever confronts you directly, then smile sweetly and tell her to mind her own business. Again and again and again until she shuts up. BTW, good for you for going back to school. A game design degree is a great choice. That's what I'd choose if I was your age. The info diet, as folks in this sub say. You and so need to come up with some phrases he can use to just shut down her questioning. Puzzle-headed is doing great, thanks for asking. What is your nosy neighbor April up to lately? Is she still doing her old job? She's doing great, thanks for asking. Did you enjoy your birthday gift? Hope we can do coffee soon. Why am she not doing both work and study? Oh, who told you that? She's doing great, thanks for asking. Isn't the weather so sketchy lately? Why do I keep answering your questions with the same response? Mom, why do you keep asking about crap that isn't your concern? We're still doing great, are you hoping that you'll get a different answer if you ask enough times? So what are you cooking for supper this week? You don't need to say anything to her unless she approaches you first. Even then, everything is going great in my life, and I'll let you know if anything changes. If she persists, I really don't want to talk to you about this. And walk away. Not giving her information isn't the same thing as being rude. I don't think you should say anything to her unless she directly asks you. Your partner sounds like he's trying his best to defend you, but now he need to practice a few phrases to just shut it down. Mom, I've already answered all your questions and there's nothing else to say about this topic. If you keep insisting on talking about it, I will leave. The tricky, and most important, part is actually sticking to it and leaving if she won't stop. Next story 2. Jamil is planning my baby's first birthday without his parents. I have many stories that I could share about my Mil and her mother, but this is the first that I would like to share. My Gmil raised my husband for half his life because his mom worked away from home for long stretches of time. While my husband has siblings, she dotes on my husband a lot more. We have trialed LC from both of them for the last few months due to a lot of stuff the last year. Mostly Mil and Gmil need to have things their way with everything from our wedding to our son. They have requested to be alone with him since he was 4 weeks old, but will not make the effort to come down the street to watch him in our home, so, naturally, they refuse to watch him at all now unless it's an emergency. I honestly believe that because Gmil raised 2 generations, she sees fit to do it with our child as she wants, but the circumstances are different. She did the same thing with her children that she did with her grandchildren, and she thinks now that our child, her great-grandchild, should do the same thing, so it becomes tradition. My husband and I are picking some traditions from our families, but we want to start doing our own thing with our children. If they wish to use them someday, cool. If not, also cool. Gmil made traditional birthday plans for my husband without even asking my husband until the day before, because DH knows that we have the same tradition every year for his birthday. She literally said this when I asked if she wanted me to bring a cake, and there's apparently a traditional cake they have. I've been with my husband for nearly 5 years this October and have never heard of this tradition until this year. But I digress. My husband is big on his birthday, and to be fair, I believe his birth is something to be celebrated as it brought him to me, so on the day, what he says goes. We showed up. Ate great food. Got through the night without any unnecessary comments about how we raise our child from her, but after dessert, she was holding our child and started making plans about our child's first birthday coming up next month, not even asking us what we are doing. So when I made the comment, well, we will have to see, as I may have to work that day and I'd like to plan a day so his cousins, which he only has on my side, could attend. She looked at our kid and said, well, Daddy can bring you out here and I will make you a smash cake and we will have to take lots of pictures so Mommy can see. Okay. It's tradition. I did it for my children and my grandchildren, so I will do it for my great-grandchild. A baby's first birthday isn't for the baby, y'all. It's for the parents. To celebrate that they kept a human alive for a whole year. But I guess I'm not invited. I brought it up with my husband, who pretended not to hear her to keep the peace at the time, because he knew he would also be busy the day of our son's birthday, so he just nodded to be polite but knew in his head that her ideas would not be happening. But because I brought it up, he realized peace was not to be had. My husband is so great at talking to them. I can go off on a rant about them and he can translate the issues I have to them in what I call Proficienese. It's very mannered compared to what I have had to say. He was going to say something today, but I have decided that we won't say anything until it is brought up again. I should also add that she makes comments like talking to my son to talk down to me. I once went over while my son was tired and crying and she said, "Hey, is Mommy not feeding you today?" Also, the traditions that she speaks of are only done with my husband. He also has cousins from his mom's brother, Gmil son, and his wife, but while he visits about 3 to 4 times a year, his family does not visit, and from what I understand it's for similar reasons. We wish to have a conversation with her that she needs to understand that my husband has his own family now and want to do things as a family sometimes, but we both don't know how to have that conversation with her without her freaking out and guilt-tripping my husband. Also, we want to make her aware that she can just be a great grandmother now. She doesn't need to be in control of our son as he has two very involved parents. The easiest route of action is NC, and while my husband would be on board, I know it would pull at him. He doesn't speak on his feelings very well, but I pick up on his body language, so I would hate to do that to him. My Mill and GMIL were so great before they learned we were going to have a baby last year. I don't know why, but since having our son they have turned into completely different people to my husband and I. Edit. Thank you to everyone for the replies. She has manipulated my husband's family, not the uncle's family because they saw right through it, but siblings and mother, into doing things for years that they hated. He has never had boundaries before because you respect your elders, which I have always found to be a crock of st, but he is learning. I will have a talk with him about being more direct in how he talks to them so they know they cannot do these things anymore. I honestly didn't even consider what strain this could put on my family in the future if she continues to do this. Imagine my son being older and her making plans like that without discussing it with us first, and our son getting excited only to be let down when one or both of us isn't there, or we have to cancel it all together and look like the bad guys because she has to have it her way. Comment. Arrange the party you want to have. Send invitations to baby's official first birthday celebration, to one and all. When GMIL calls to invite you to hers, you, your husband, and your baby are busy that day. First, there is a light at the end of this tunnel, and I've been in your shoes. Your better tell her that this tradition isn't passing down to another generation. My in-laws were like that. The grand matriarch called all the shots, and everyone went along with it because crossing her was a headache. I caused a migraine in that family for an entire year, but after the initial explosion of guilt trips and anger, the rest of the family were sick of losing the holidays/birthdays to her demands and didn't join in the rage. They didn't exactly back my spouse and me in our rebellion, but they also didn't push us to cave. After we spent the first traditional holidays in our beds instead of the mandatory sleepovers, most bailed in the following years. They also preferred baking baby's first cakes, picking out their first outfits, and all the decisions/experiences new parents look forward to. This year will suck, but just wait. You won't be alone in the future. I believe respect your elders too. As an elder, that means that I fervently hope my adult children respect me enough, and trust me to be mature and loving enough, to say things like, "Oh sorry, no, we already have plans," or "not this year," or whatever they need to say. If they thought I was a pouty toddler that they had to cave into, how would that be respect? It's not some startling innovative thought that mutual respectful behavior is the only environment that lasts long term. You respect me while I disrespect you has no way forward. And as far as traditions, if you want to be sweet about it, you could take the approach of, "Hey, that's so great that you were able to have that tradition for the children you raised. I'm so excited to do the same thing and create wonderful traditions for my children, too. What a great part of parenting. It will be so fun to see what traditions emerge over these next few years. I have a bunch of ideas I'm playing with." My mom is pushy about this kind of stuff as well. Sorry, that doesn't work for me/us, and when it's brought up a second time we already said no, I'm not gonna get into this. And then refuse to acknowledge any comments on the subject after that. If it's in text, you just didn't get it. If it's verbal, change the subject/leave the room/only reply to the parts that aren't about this topic. If they demand to know why you're ignoring those comments, I already told you no and that I'm not getting into it. If they're like my mom and tries to weaponize "but I don't understand," remind them that they don't have to understand, they just have to accept this is how it is. If they press on it being tradition, you have years worth of examples about how it's not tradition, or you can just say you and your so are creating your own traditions. My mom and grandma fought for years over my oldest brother's birthday. My grandma would always make him a cake. I remember my mom complaining that for his 18th birthday it was the first time she'd ever made him a cake herself. Ultimately, she should have put her foot down from the get-go instead of letting my grandma walk all over her. I suggest you put an end to it now, or else great-grandma will try it with every single birthday or major life event. It's super rude to say we'll send pictures to mom because the first birthday is really for the parents to celebrate and enjoy. You also want to see your baby enjoy cake in person for the first time. You should have told her she was being super rude by excluding you from your child's first birthday. She seems to have gotten plenty of times to experience those firsts with her kids and grandkids. It's your kid and it's your turn, don't feel guilty telling her to chill out.